888-835-2414.
This is Learning with Leslie. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Learning with Leslie, the podcast where we focus on making an impact from home, at home, and beyond. No, I'm not talking about the kind of impact that'll fall by the wayside when Google has a mood swing. I'm talking about the kind that will thrive no matter what gets thrown at it. I'm your host, Leslie Samuel from IamLeslieSamuel.com, where we're changing the world one person at a time. And as usual, I have another exciting episode for you today. In today's episode 420, we're going to be talking about what I'm calling the summer of AI and how the next few months will play a huge role in defining the next decade of tech. We just recently had big announcement from OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, and around the corner is Apple's next event. And let me tell you, times are changing. There's so much going on right now. Things were announced that I believe will have a massive effect on how we work and how we live. What does this mean for entrepreneurs and content creators? What should we be thinking about? And how do we set ourselves up for success moving forward? Well, exactly. Those are questions that we need to be asking and answering. So the summer of AI, that's what we're going to be talking about today. What is up? I hope you're having a better than stupendous day. And if not, I hope by the end of this episode, your day is a little better than stupendous. Man, I'm so excited to talk to you today about AI. This is my second time recording this podcast episode. The first time I did it and I didn't hit record. And whenever that happens, I'm determined that the second time I record it is going to be even better than the first, with more energy than the first. So that's what we're going to do today. Before we get into it, I got to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Ecamm Live, the all-in-one video production platform. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them later on in this episode. But for now, let's get into the episode. Now, I gotta let you know this from the beginning. This is not a news podcast. This episode is not. I have to cover some news things because there's so many things happening right now that you need to know if you're an entrepreneur or a content creator, someone that's building a business, someone that is creating content online. If that is you, you need to know a few things. And if you don't know, you will know by the end of this podcast episode. So what I want to do is talk about some of the things that are happening in the AI space right now. And I want to put it in context. I want to share some thoughts on where I see things going. And my hope is that by listening to this podcast, you get some insight on where things are going, but you're able to also think about what are you going to do as a result of where things are going. All right? Is that a deal? We good? All right, let's do it. I want to talk about a few events that have happened over the last month or so. First event, Google I/O. Google I/O was an event held by Google where they made a bunch of announcements. And one of the things that was blatantly obvious, like super obvious, is that they're going all in on AI. Their AI platform that they spent a lot of time talking about was Gemini. And I don't know if you've used Gemini, but that's their alternative to ChatGPT. This is the Google version of that. And they spoke about the ways that they're going to be that they have made Gemini better, and they plan on making it better. One of the interesting things about it is that what they're doing now is they're integrating Gemini into all of the Google products. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Google is they have, Alphabet, the company has Google Search, they got Google Gmail, not Google Gmail, but Gmail, they've got Google Docs, they've got Google Sheets, they got a bunch of apps within their workplace suite, and they got a whole bunch of other stuff. And what they're doing is they are building Gemini, or they're integrating Gemini with all of their other services. Now, if you're someone that uses Google's products, you're gonna start seeing Gemini features built into those products. Now, ChatGPT is very useful. And I use ChatGPT for all kinds of stuff, from business planning to content to research to a whole lot of stuff. But what would it be like if you were to incorporate ChatGPT with all of the other services you have? That is what we're talking about here when we're talking about Gemini. I went into Gemini this morning and I asked it to create a spreadsheet for me, just kind of as a sample. And it created that spreadsheet, and that could go into my Google Sheets account. It can do so many things because I can go in and ask it questions like, hey, what do I need to get done today based on the emails that have come in recently? And it will tell me, based on the emails, here are some of the things some of the action items that you need to focus on, and so on. So it's integrating all of the things that we already use with AI, making it even more useful in some ways. Another thing they spoke about and they demoed is what they're calling AI-powered search. Now, if you are a content creator, you need to pay attention to this, because this has huge implications for us moving forward. Someone goes to Google and they do a search. And let's say they do a search for how to make a New York cheesecake. I love me some New York cheesecake. That's one of my killer recipes. If we have a potluck and I'm bringing the New York cheesecake, trust me, you're gonna get something good. But in the past, when I did a search for how to bake a New York cheesecake, it took me to a recipe that I could use. It gave me a list of a bunch of sites that had recipes, and I went and I checked them out, and I found one called Cooking for Engineers, and I liked that recipe, and I started making it, and then I started adapting and all that good stuff. But I went to the website. Now, with AI-powered search, what can happen and what will happen is I will ask it for the recipe, and you know what it's gonna do? It's gonna give me the recipe. Like, it's just gonna give it to me. Now, let me ask you this, right? If you go and you search for something and Google gives you the answer, what do you do next? Do you go to the website to check it out? Well, if the answer is good enough, probably not. Now, I am someone who has built a brand, especially in the past, on starting a blog and how you can create content and put it out there and all this good stuff. And if you optimize your content for the search engines, you're going to show up in the search engines if you do your job well, and that can bring some traffic, and that can help you grow your email list and help you grow your business and all that good stuff. But now if Google is just going to give you the answer, and eventually the answer is going to be really good. I mean, they've had some serious mishaps where this is concerned because people ask things like how to the best way to get your cheese to stick to your pizza, and getting a response like using glue because AI is not perfect and it's gonna make mistakes. But what is gonna happen over time is these results are gonna get better and better, and if that happens, people are gonna trust those results more, and then they don't really need to get to your website. Now, that has some upsides in that you get the information quicker, but it also has downsides for the content creator because now they don't have to visit your website anymore. Are websites still significant? Absolutely, and we'll talk more about that moving forward. But I want you to be aware of these changes because these changes are significant and they're going to have huge implications on us as content creators, as content consumers, all of that good stuff. So that's the first event, Google I/O. They also showed how they were making Gemini more conversational, which is going to lead directly into the second event that happened right before Google I/O, and that was OpenAI. They did their own event. Now, if you're not aware, OpenAI is the company behind ChatGPT. That's one of their products. And ChatGPT, they announced the rollout of GPT 4.0. Now, GPT 4.0 is smarter, and it's more, how do I say, actually, you know what? I'm not going to try to describe what it's more of. I'm just going to have you watch a quick video, a short 1-minute video. Let's watch this together and see what we think about it. And if you're listening on the podcast, don't worry, you'll hear the significant parts.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Rocky. I'm doing great. How about you?
By the way, if you're listening on the audio version, if you're listening on the audio version, it is Rocky interacting with ChatGPT. Let's see where this goes.
I'm awesome. Listen, I got some huge news.
Oh, do tell. I'm all ears.
Well, in a few minutes, I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
OpenAI? Huh? Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course. That's incredible, Rocky. What kind of interview?
Well, it's for a software engineering role, but I just need to know, do I look presentable, professional?
Well, Rocky, you definitely have the I've been coding all night look down, which could actually work in your favor. Maybe just run a hand through your hair or lean into the mad genius vibe. Your enthusiasm is what's really going to shine through.
I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to throw this on. What do you think?
He's putting on a weird hat.
Oh, Rocky, that's quite a statement piece. I mean, you'll definitely stand out, though maybe not in the way you're hoping for an interview.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So, what did you think about that? I mean, what did it seem a little like human-like to you? Is it just me? No, just me. Listen, they are making it more conversational. They're giving it more of a personality. Have you ever seen the movie Her? The movie where this guy kind of falls in love with a computer, basically, and the computer's voice was played by Scarlett Johansson. That's essentially what we're looking at here, right? Now you're talking to a computer. It seems to have a personality. Notice that when he asks a question, there isn't much of a delay. They've shortened the response time significantly to make it much more conversational. Listen. Okay, that's kind of crazy. Now, it's kind of cool in some ways, right? But it's also kind of scary in some ways. If you think about it, right? Today, there is somewhat of an issue with us being addicted to our devices. Can you imagine what it could be like if our devices seems to have a personality and we can interact with it as if we're interacting with another person? What are the implications of that? Positive and negative implications of that. These are things that we need to be aware of, and we need to be proactive in terms of thinking through the implications. All right, so that's OpenAI. Then Microsoft had an event, and that was a few weeks ago as well, maybe 2 weeks now, where that was their Microsoft Surface event. And at this event, they announced what they are calling Copilot plus PC. Now, this is very interesting because they've been talking about Copilot for a while, and it's kind of like ChatGPT, but on your computer, on your PC. And they showed off some very interesting demos where you have someone that's working on something and Copilot is there, and you can talk with Copilot and get it to help you with whatever it is you're working on. They've showed examples of someone that was working on some coding project, and he couldn't figure out what was going on, and he just asked his Copilot that was right there in a window next to the window that he was working on, and he's like, hey, I'm trying to figure this out. Can can you help me? Something isn't working right. And it just tells him, okay, so I see you're working on this, but there's an error here. You can go ahead and fix that. Or someone that's playing a game, someone was trying to figure out Minecraft, and the Copilot was right there just telling him, hey, this is what you do. You got to go here, you got to mine here, you got to do this, and all the stuff that you do in Minecraft. But imagine a world where you can talk to your PC, you can get tutoring or guidance from your PC, and it can help you do whatever you want to do. So you want to develop your own app, but you're not sure how to do it. You have the app developing software open, and you're like, hey, Copilot, this is what I'm trying to do. Where do I start? And it can actually guide you through the process and show you where you're going wrong. That is extremely powerful. And the potential for doing really amazing things is pretty awesome. I used to teach people how to start blogs. And one of the biggest things that people struggled with was just getting started. How do you install WordPress? How do you install the plugins? And what plugin should you install for this purpose, and so on? Well, imagine if you could just ask your computer, and your computer could just tell you and walk you through it and correct you as you're making mistakes so that you can do the right thing. What possibilities does that open up? Now, one of the interesting things about their announcements is that a lot of the AI processing was happening locally on the computer using what they were calling an NPU, which is a neural processing unit that allows the processing to happen right there on the computer, but it doesn't take away from the CPU. It doesn't take away from the other tasks that need to be done on the computer, allowing you to do so much more and have the AI just running alongside whatever it is you're trying to do. And that opens up some interesting possibilities. Now, the last announcement, the last event I want to talk about is not an event that has happened already, but if from when I'm posting this, the next week, Apple is doing their worldwide developers conference, WWDC, that happens starting on the 10th. And it's expected that they're going to make a bunch of announcements. They're going to roll out one of the biggest changes to iOS in a very long time. And so much of what they're going to be focused on in this, or what we expect, has to do with AI. And it's going to be interesting to see what they actually come out with. There's talks about a possible partnership with OpenAI to bring some of those AI features to the Mac and to the iPhones and so on. But here's the thing. I want to summarize all of these events with the following. Number one, AI is being baked in to all of the main systems, all of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis using our computers and our other devices. AI is gonna be baked into that. Now, I believe that Microsoft is a bit ahead of the game where this is concerned, because they have significant investments in OpenAI. So I'm very curious, especially now with their new Surface laptops and how with the Copilot Plus PC, and how AI is so baked into everything with those computers. I'm very curious to see, will Microsoft become more of a preferred platform when it comes to computers? Creative people like myself, I'm looking at a Surface PC and I'm like, yo, wait, so the stuff that I want to do, it can actually help me figure it out just by me asking it questions? That is very fascinating. It's gonna be interesting, because with Apple making the announcements that they're going to be making next week, whatever those are, they're making big changes, and it's left to be seen what will come from that. What is interesting to me is Apple has always been a privacy-focused company. Privacy and security have been a main selling point with Apple devices. And because that is the case, it actually restricts what you can do when it comes to integrating with other systems. So I'm very curious to see what this will do for Microsoft, because they seem, as of right now, to have a bit of a leg up. And that's going to be interesting. So with all of these changes and all of these announcements, here's where things are going. There's going to be mass adoption of AI, because it's not going to be that thing that only the tech geeks are using. It is going to be on all of our devices, and that's going to make mass adoption inevitable. I'm going to say that again. Mass adoption of AI is inevitable because it's being baked in to all of the devices that we use on a day-to-day basis. If you're watching this right now, I'm even wearing Meta glasses. There's AI built into my glasses right now. What does it look like when all of the devices that we use have some form of AI baked into it? I believe things will change dramatically. I believe that the summer that we are facing right now, this summer of changes, will have a decade of impact, if not more. This means, if that is the case, and I do believe this is the case, if that is the case, to me it means that those who are in the know where AI is concerned, those who are paying attention, those who are trying to figure out how to leverage these tools, are gonna have an unfair advantage. Once again, I'm gonna say that again. If you are the person who is paying attention, if you are the person who is in the know and exploring how to use these different tools to help you advance and make you more productive and to make you more effective at your job, that gives you an unfair advantage. There is so much changing right now. And as a result of that, there is a lot of opportunity. And even for the people who in the past would have said, I don't know how to do it, this opens up a lot of those possibilities. So the question then becomes, what does this make possible? That's the key question. That is the question that has been guiding a lot of my thought recently. What does this make possible? Let's just talk about some of what this makes possible. Let's say you're a musician. If you're a musician, this means leveraging the tools. One of the things that Google also focused at Google I/O was the tools for musicians and for music compositions. And it's fascinating to see. They had people like Wyclef Jean and some other artists talking about how they are using these. They have, special access to these tools and how they are using these tools, and it's making their process so much quicker. Imagine being able to go from idea to production in so much less time. Imagine having an idea for a song, but man, you need someone to play a violin and you need it to do a certain thing, and you can get that done with AI and it sounds real. Does that give you an advantage? Absolutely. If you're a content creator, and let's say you have no team, it's just you, you're a solopreneur because you can't afford to get the help that you need. Well, you can use AI to help you brainstorm. You can use AI to summarize research. You can use AI for editing your videos, editing your content. You can use AI in so many ways that speeds up the process for you. I'm creating a course right now for my biology audience, for my biology YouTube channel, and it is speeding up that process. It is allowing me to focus on what I'm really good at, which is creating engaging content, and it's doing so much of the other work for me, and that is making my life so much easier. It's making it so that I can serve my audience much better. And it's helping me create a product that I can sell for years to come. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, let's say you're a business coach. You do coaching calls. I'm a business coach. Some of the behind the scenes prep that I would have to spend a bunch of time doing happens automatically. And that helps me to serve my clients deeper. I can show up on the call and I can focus on my client without worrying about, did I get that? Did I get the notes? No, because it's being transcribed. Notes are taken automatically. Even while I'm on the call, I can see the highlights of what they just said, and I can quickly and easily pull that up, and I can, it's making life easier. Let's say you're an entrepreneur and you need to learn how to develop an app, how to build a website, how to do a spreadsheet for tracking ROI on your ads or something of that sort. Well, can it help you? Absolutely, it can. Can it help you come up with, I've used this with my clients to come up with things like headlines for their ads, copy for their ads, ideas for their ads, and that is resulting in many thousands of dollars of sales. Listen, there's so much potential. Now, somebody's listening and they're saying, but Leslie, you're just all AI. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're using AI. No. Are there concerns? Yes. And I want to talk about this because I think there are examples of ways in which technology has moved so fast, but our mindsets and our legislation has moved so slowly that it has had detrimental effects. And here's the reality. There is no technology that has ever moved as quickly as we are seeing right now with AI. Never in the history of this universe has anything moved as rapidly. Never has adoption been as quick as we are seeing right now when it comes to generative AI, when it comes to things like ChatGPT, the fastest growing platform ever. So we got to talk about the downsides. Before we do that, I want to let you know that this episode, the reason I'm able to do this episode is because of our sponsors over at Ecamm Live. And when I say the reason I'm able to do it, it's not just because they are sponsoring the show. No, it's also because I'm using Ecamm Live to produce the show. Yes, I'm here and I have multiple camera angles and the switching is happening and I'm bringing things on the screen. I am producing this entire thing. It is recording my cameras. It's recording everything. And when I'm done here, when I end recording, I am done with the production of this podcast episode, this video podcast, and it will automatically save the full video. It will automatically save all of the individual camera recordings. It'll automatically save the audio, and I am ready to go in so many ways. If you have not checked out Ecamm Live, you need to check them out. If you create videos and if you use a Mac, you need to check them out. Go to ecamm.com/Leslie and you'll save 15% if you use the coupon code Leslie. Save time, save money, make better videos. All right, let's talk about the downsides. Because there are downsides. First of all, just as AI is making it easier to make good stuff, it's also making it much easier. It's making it easier to make bad stuff. in a world where you can generate a picture, you can literally within seconds generate a picture of me doing something that I never did. You can generate a video of someone saying something, an audio recording of someone saying something that they never said. And that is becoming easier and easier. It doesn't take a lot of effort to do it anymore. I can do that within seconds. How do we know what's real versus what is fake? That is a significant concern. That's number one. Number two, as a result of that, scams are much easier to do today than ever before. You can take a little bit of audio of someone and you can upload it to 11 Labs, which is a service that does audio stuff, and you can have that person say whatever you want. You can then call someone, an older person, for example, an elderly person that I know, and you can have my voice saying, I need your help. I need you to send some money. And because that elderly person loves me, that person is much more susceptible to being scammed. I don't know how to make a virus, but with AI, I can figure it out quickly and I can deploy it quickly if I know what I'm doing. There's so much potential for things to go very bad. And as a result of that, it puts a greater responsibility on the individual. When someone sends me something, I need to know that it could be real and it could be fake. And now it's my responsibility to check the source and to check for its legitimacy. I need to have a stronger filter so that I can determine if something is real versus fake before I send it to my friends. Because the reality is, when I see something that validates an idea that I have inside of my brain, I am more likely to let my guard down and accept that as truth. And as a result of where we are, we cannot continue to do that. There is more responsibility on me before I share something with people. Not only is there greater responsibility on the individual, now there's greater responsibility on me as a parent. Because now I have kids that are under my guidance, and I have a bigger responsibility to make sure they know how to do that as well and determine what is true versus what is false. Because there's so much now that can go under the radar and seem as if it's truth, but it's still error. It puts greater responsibilities on teachers to help guide our students in a world where AI is a part of what we do on a daily basis. And along with all of this, and this seems to be a bit controversial these days, but I believe that it also calls for greater and stricter regulations, or at least clearer regulations. Now, some people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, you know what, I'm done with this podcast. This boy thinks that government needs to be all up in our business. No, just here's what I want. I want you to just listen to me for a second, and I just want you to try to understand where I'm coming from, okay? And yes, feel free to disagree with me, and I'm perfectly fine with that. We can agree to disagree. But think about this. Whenever there's technology that is developed to where it leaves a certain segment of the population more vulnerable, I think it's the government's responsibility to make sure that there are guardrails in place, guidelines in place for how we use this technology. Now, this is not about stifling innovation, because I don't believe that the government should be involved in trying to stifle innovation. I believe it's more about protecting those that are vulnerable and clearing the way for better innovation. I believe that the government, because we know of how the significant implications that this can have on society as a whole, how this can disrupt so many industries and cause economic disruption to a significant portion of the population, because we also know that it's making it easier for awesome stuff to happen, but also for negative things to happen. There needs to be some kind of regulation so that it doesn't go in the wrong direction. In the same way where when I go into my car, I need to put on a seatbelt because it keeps me safe and it helps to protect the people around me. The same way that I need to have a license before I drive something that could potentially run into someone else and kill them. Because of what we're dealing with here and the potential for societal harm, I think it's important for the government to think through what the implications are and to help in promoting education, in addressing the potential economic disruptions. These are societal issues that we are going to face. And if we just sit back, relax, and say, hey, you know what? I trust the OpenAI folks to do what's best for society, that is not very smart. So, this has the potential for great things. It has the potential for terrible things. And it's up to us as a society, as individuals, as teachers, as parents, as entrepreneurs, as responsible individuals to, one, pay attention, to two, be proactive in terms of how do we navigate this all. And number three, providing guidance to those around us and taking care of those that are vulnerable for disruption. I'm very optimistic. I'm very concerned. I am very excited. I wouldn't say that I'm scared, but there are issues that need to be addressed. Does that make sense? What about you? How do you feel about all of this? Number one. Number two, how are you using AI in your business and your life? I think I'm going to do an episode on that. Like all of the different ways that I'm using AI on a day-to-day basis. If that's something that's interesting to you, let me know in the comments. But that's pretty much it for this episode. My name is Leslie Samuel from IamLeslieSamuel.com, where we're changing the world one person at a time. And until next time, take care and God bless.
Eight, 8, 8, 8, 3,